Hi, today we're going to cover sampling computer output, slicing large audio samples into smaller clips, storing those clips in your library as a sample pack, and then using that sample pack to build a custom drum rack. There are other uses for sample packs. We're going to create a sample pack today, but we will cover one usage of your sample pack, and that usage is building custom drum racks. So to start off, the plugin called iShowU Audio Capture is extremely useful for capturing computer outputs without using a microphone to create a sample file. If you go to Google and type in iShowU Audio Capture, just like it's spelled here, this page will come up as the first link. You'll want to download the installer, run the installer on your computer. When you're running the installer, you'll need to grant permission to the app developer who made the software for the software to be installed on your computer. If you have any difficulty installing the software, there's plenty of YouTube tutorials that cover how to install this, but it shouldn't be a difficult process to install. After you've downloaded this and installed it, you'll want to go into Audio MIDI Setup. You can find that by going to Spotlight Search at the top of your screen and typing in Audio MIDI Setup. Then this device menu will come up. You will press plus here, create multi-output device. Then this will come up. You'll want to select use on built-in output and on iShowU Audio Capture, and then drift correction on built-in output. Once you have selected these three boxes, you will right-click multi-output device and say use this device for sound output. Then open up QuickTime Player, comes default on every Mac. Then go to File, New Audio Recording, and press this little down arrow and make sure that iShowU Audio Capture is selected, and then press record. Now pull up any sound, like a YouTube video that has sound or any sound that you want to use for your sample, and start playing it. And that created a sample file. That you can now save, and you can open that sample file up in Ableton. So that is how to sample computer outputs to create a sample file, which you can then make a sample pack out of. Switch to my Ableton screen so you can see what I'm doing with Push and Ableton. Now, this is a new untitled Ableton file. You want to go into Instruments and drag a simpler instrument onto a MIDI track. Then find the place where you saved your sample that you recorded in QuickTime with iShowU Audio Capture. Drag that sample file into the simpler instrument. Turn on slice mode. Slice by region. Make the regions the maximum number of regions, which is 64. So each, and turn off warp. So each of these buttons on push is mapped to one of 64 sections that the larger sample was divided into. So this is what it sounds like.
What have I got?
Depending on the length of the sample you recorded, this sample that I recorded is like 11 minutes, so you might want to use less regions, but these 64 sample sections or regions make listening to the larger sample file easier, and you can find specific songs within the larger sample that you want to add to your sound pack. So
the vortex is not ready. We have no idea what it could do. Failure again. Capture him!
I like that sample, but I don't like the end of it, so I'm going to use this nudge wheel to adjust the cutoff point to set the end of the sample to before the position it's currently set in. So I'll select the next sample in the loop because this nudge wheel changes the start of the sample you have selected. So if I change the start of the next sample, I'll actually be changing the end of the sample I currently have selected.
Uh-oh! Prepare the female panther. The vortex is not ready. We have no idea what it could do. Failure again. Capture him! Uh-oh! Prepare the female panther. The vortex is not ready. We have no idea what it could do.
Yeah, so I like that sample, and it's the right length, so I'm going to press record here and then play the sample, so I'll have a recording of that part of the sample.
The vortex is not ready. We have no idea what it could do.
Alright, and I'm going to get one more. You can go through the entire sample this way, but I'm just going to do a couple so you get the idea of how to do this. So that could be used as a pretty sweet kick drum. So I'm going to record that. Alright, so you can go through the entire sample. That way you can imagine this might take some time to go through a large sample file, but you can create an entire sample pack this way using any sample that you have recorded. And once you have a list of all the samples that you really like in session view with Ableton, you can, well, these are MIDI files, so you can convert them to audio files and save them as a sample pack. So to do that, once you have your list of samples recorded that you liked from the larger sample file, you can right click the MIDI track, say freeze track, then right click again and say flatten. The way that freeze flatten function works, it creates two versions of the same sound. So you'll want to crop these down to be just one, not two repetitions. It wouldn't be a repetition, just a single sound to sample. You understand that. So just basically crop these samples to be the sample that you recorded, doing the loop length selector and crop sample. And once you have those samples, you can open up your user library, create a new folder. I'll call this one Crash Bandicoots Sample Pack. Drag it into my samples folder. Bandicoot samples folder. Then select all of the samples that I pulled from the original sample file, drag them into my sample pack, and then I have these samples in my library. So an application of a sample pack, we'll cover that real quick before the end of the video. Go to Instruments, Drum Rack, and drag a drum rack to an empty MIDI track. Then pull up your sample pack that you created and drag each of these samples into one of the panels of your drum pad. And when you press the drum pad, the sample you recorded will launch.
The vortex is not ready. We have no idea what it could do.
And you can fine tune the sample and build a drum kit that way. Yeah, I hope this video was helpful in building some sample packs and working with samples in Ableton. Thanks for tuning in.